viewers, it's Melissa from Melissa's Creations, and today I have a very fun and embossed and sparkly card for you. It is simple, but it still has a really fun technique. Now, this is kind of like a sunken in or a reverse eclipse card, and I'm not quite sure exactly what I'm going to call it yet, but you'll be able to see it on the title of this video. So let's get started making this really fun card. So we are going to start with a standard sheet of very vanilla cardstock, and I'm going to cut that in half for a standard card base. So slip it in on the long edge. We're going to cut it at 5.5. We're going to rotate that, score it at 4 1/4. And then with the other half, you're going to cut a mat to go inside your card. And this needs to be 4 by 5 1/4. So we're going to start by folding our card base in half, just like this, and crease that score line. And the next step is to get out our framelits. Now, the stamp set I'm using today is Paisleys and Posies, along with the Paisley framelits dies. And I picked this set specifically for this card because the stamps show through beautifully on the framelits. So that's really important on the technique for this card, because you want to be able to cut out the image and then underneath have the detail of that stamp to show through. So we are going to figure out which framelits we want to use on our card, and I think on this card I'm going to use a couple of different ones I didn't do on the last. So I'm going to use the larger Paisley, and at this point we're just kind of setting them down just to kind of get a placement. Then I'm going to use this large circle. I think we'll keep the flower in there. And maybe another small paisley down here. So I'm just kind of getting a placement, trying to figure out if I want to add any more or less. Now we are going to stamp our sentiment down here in the right hand corner, so I'm trying to stay away from that section. And I'm also trying to make sure that I am within 1/4 inch from each side and the top and the bottom, because when we put our mat on the inside of our card, we don't want to be able to see the edge of it. So I think that will do it right there. Oh, how about the little leaf too? Oh wait, maybe this guy. So many choices. Okay, that leaf. And this doodad looking guy. Let's see. He's really close to the flower though, so maybe, nah, we'll leave him off. We'll stick with this arrangement. So now it's time to bring in our big shot. All right, I have my magnetic platform along with a cutting plate, and I'm going to open my card and put my card front right down on that cutting plate. You can see my fold is here and the rest of my card is here. Make sure you don't cut it with your card folded in half, otherwise you will have cutouts through your entire card instead of just the front. So once you have it on your magnetic platform, you can kind of play around with the placement. And I do want a little bit of space between each shape. But again, make sure that you have at least 1/4 inch around each edge. So I think that looks good. I'm going to go ahead and run that through. All right. We're going to take that mat that we cut earlier, and with just a little tiny bit of snail, or if you have it, some temporary adhesive, we're just going to put a little bit in each of those 4 corners. And then we're going to turn over our card. So now I am on the inside of the card, and I'm going to place my mat center and just stick that down lightly. Okay, so now we have our mat behind our front piece. Since these are photopolymer stamps, I'm going to bring in my Stampin' mat. This is a Stampin' Pierce mat, and it just really helps with the crispness of the images. All right, we're going to get our coordinating stamps out and mount some of those on our blocks. So we are going to need this beautiful large Paisley here. I don't even think I've used it yet. Look how clean it is. Let's make sure that he's gonna fit. Make it work. Okay, so we're gonna mount up that large Paisley. Now the tail on this Paisley is going to be larger than our tail here, but this is just kind of to get an idea, and we'll see what happens. I'm also going to mount up this circle here, which goes in this right there. And we have our little leaf guy. So grab my A block, and that's going to go up there. We have the flower. Grab that, and we're going to mount that. He's going to go there, so we're going to mount it like this. And last but not least, the smaller Paisley, which goes right in here. And we will mount him on the other side of this block. All right. We are also using One Big Meaning, and we are going to use this beautiful thank you right here. So I'm going to grab that out. I'm using my embossing buddy to rub that on the surface of the carded stock, and it just helps to eliminate static cling. So I have my Versamark stamp pad here. I'm going to stamp all of my stamps in Versamark, and then I'm going to carefully take that mat off of the card and do my embossing. You want to work fairly quickly just to make sure that your Versamark doesn't dry too much. So make sure that you have everything set up. I have my Versamark stamp pad right in front of me here. I also have a tray. If you don't have a tray, just use either a Tupperware container or a piece of paper folded in half. And then I have each of my embossing powders. I'm using gold, copper, and silver on this card. So here we go. Let's take our lid off of the Versamark. We're going to stamp down that flower, and you want to really try and get it lined up as best as you can inside. And if it takes you a couple tries, that's okay. Practice makes perfect. All right, we'll get that Paisley, and I am kind of doing this at a very interesting angle, so hopefully I make it in. And it's kind of like that operation game. Okay, so there's that and that. Now we'll do our circle, and this has a scallop to it, so be careful of the scallop. And we'll do the large Paisley. Now again, the tail on the Paisley may not go into the card fully, so I'm just going to focus on the actual Paisley portion. It's hard to see with the lighting and not having my head directly on it, but hopefully we get close. Okay, and then the little leaf guy. All right, so now that we have all of those stamped with our Versamark, we're going to carefully remove our mat from the card. Oops, got a little bit of card on that one. That's okay, it'll be covered up. So now we're going to bring in our tray, and I'm going to start with the lighter powder. So I have my silver, and I'm just going to run that on kind of a majority of the bottom of some of those pieces. Then I'm just going to flick that off. Okay, next we will do copper. and sprinkle that on a little bit more. And then lastly, we will do some gold. All right, grab your heat tool and go ahead and emboss that. Okay, so you can see that I missed a few spots, but I'm gonna kind of go with the theme that it's a little bit more rustic than my first attempt. All right, we're gonna grab our card base and we are going to emboss our sentiment down here in this corner. So grab a block and mount your stamp. Grab that Versamark again. And then we're going to stamp that right down here. Bring in your tray or your paper, and we're going to emboss that in copper. All right, so now we're going to grab some dimensionals. We're going to put one in each of the four corners on our card mat. And then we're going to flip over the front of our card and put a few dimensionals between each of our cut pieces, just to help keep that raised up. All right, we're going to peel off all the backings. Okay, and then we're going to take our front and we're just going to line it up with all of our pieces. Just like, yeah, right about there. And then just lightly press that down. And finally, we're going to take some of our metallic shapes and we're just going to sprinkle a few of those around. And then if your card doesn't quite fold, just give it another crease and it will be good to go. All right, creators, there is our really fun and really metallic card. I hope you enjoyed this today. Let me know what you think of this technique. Have you tried something similar to that before? I know the Eclipse cards are really fun and I have made quite a few of those, but I think this is actually really, really fun as well. And I love all of the different metallics on the card. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, give it a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button to be notified of future videos, and leave me a comment. Let me know what you thought of this card today. You can get me online at melissascreations.com or follow me on Facebook at facebook.com/mcreations. I'm also on Instagram and Twitter with the handle @mcreations. While you're visiting my website, make sure you hit that shop now button and shop to your heart's content. Your support continues to allow me to bring you videos, and I do so hope that you enjoy watching them as much as I do making them. Thanks so much, guys. Have a good one.